Hi guys, and welcome to another episode of The Burning Desire. And today we have Edward Tourtellotte. Pronounce that right?
Yeah, got it.
Sweet, sweet. And I was just saying, just in the kind of before we recorded, that this year it hasn't even. I think it's been released by Mart on the front cover, but your watch brand and again Stollenwurm. Am I pronouncing that?
Yeah, we don't usually say Verm
Okay.
as Frenchies, but the German type, it is a Swiss German or originated word. So
Oh,
you can say
okay.
stolen Verm and be
So,
good.
so how would the French pronounce that? Out of curiosity.
Stolen Worm.
Stollenwurm.
Yeah.
So, yeah, your brand is on the front cover of Wristwatch Annual, which is this fantastic, like, yearly tome of watches, what things have been released, and you see the real breadth of the industry because it's easy to get lost in the Audemars Piguets, the Rolexes, the Pateks, and they're great, of course they are. There's so much more going on that's interesting and intriguing, and I was saying my relationship with Martin, who I've become very friendly with, stemmed from exactly this. You know, reaching out and just going like, "Hey, you're doing something interesting. Like, let's have a chat." And same with recently with Sylvain Berneron. Recently interviewed Michelle Nidiger. That's not been released yet, but it will be probably by the time this is out. And it is amazing. Like, that's one of the great things of technology that you can like Euro from the States. I'm here in the UK, and like you can start a little relationship over a podcast, and you know you never know when you go meet up and things come from it. So yeah, I always start the podcast with the Steve Jobs quote, which is that you can't connect dots going forwards, only backwards. And you know, it becomes obvious now as to why you started Watch Brand, but I'm sure like X number of years ago that probably was not on the radar, or maybe not so much uh, as it is now. Um, so were you like a back in like your school days? Were you a studious guy? Like, do you remember being like, you know, do you enjoy school? Did you hate it? Were you trying to leave as fast as possible? Like, what kind of guy were you?
That's a great question. But first, let me say, I love that quote and I love the speech that it came from. That's the best speech I've ever seen in my life.
One hundred
Uh,
percent
the Stanford commencement speech. Oh, if
correct.
anyone hasn't seen it, go watch it right now. It's amazing.
It's the best speech. I agree.
Yeah. Okay. So was I studious? Not really. Things came easy to me in high school and before that. So I decided school was more for social uh, aspects. That's what more got me excited. In college, I had to study a little because it was a pretty tough school, but I still was not by far the best student. Um, if I could go back, I would be a better student. I think I squandered a little opportunity there by not being a good student, but I am who I am, and or I was who I was back then, that's for sure. So yeah, I was always like had a knack for inventing things, and I was pretty good with computers. So I launched out on a technology career for most of my life, really, and then finished that and started this.
What made you? You went to Duke and studied economics. Was it just that was just felt like it would maybe open some doors, or was there any reason behind that?
So in a school like Duke, it's nothing's really considered job training unless you're like pre-law or pre-med. So it's just general education. And I had started out in engineering, and that was like too much work for me. I didn't want to work that hard. So I took a whole bunch of different things, and I was interested in poli sci and engineering and sorry, economics. I just fell in love with microeconomics, and I feel like some of the courses I had there, some of the microeconomic principles can be applied to anything, not just money. Like almost any aspect of life can be put on a utility curve, and it's been like foundational in so many ways over my career in understanding, what to spend time on and what not to, what to worry about, what not to, and a lot of people don't get that.
So you're like taking these like more like traditionally they would apply to finance and to business and entrepreneurship, but also applying them to life. So like, how would you could you explain because not everyone will know what utility curve is and like how that you've then utilized that or like parlayed that into other things.
Well, it's all yeah. Everything is supply and demand, right? So that's important to understand. Is that the demand curve starts at like the person who's going to pay $1 trillion, if there is one, for one unit, and ends up with the whole population of the Earth who will pay like one penny for all of the imaginable, infinite stock. So you really want to find, the right spot on there where there's enough people to create the demand to match your supply. It's totally relevant right now with Stollenwurm because our prices are pretty high, but yet I had to make them as low as I possibly could because we're new and I'm coming in with a six-figure watch, and that's like unheard of. So uh, it's directly applicable there. Another important principle is well, a couple more sunk cost and doing, I forget the name of it, but you want to do what you're good at and pay other people to do stuff that you're not good at.
Yeah.
So yeah, and AI is actually starting to do some of that stuff now too. So you really want to spend your time on the stuff that you're bringing the most value. Uh,
Yeah, it's interesting because I always refer to. I just think he's one of the best books that I've ever read, which is the Almanac of Naval Ravikant. I don't know if you ever come across this book or
haven't heard of
Naval.
it.
So it's definitely worth looking at. And I don't know if you know Naval Ravikant, but he was behind Angel List and is I think born in India, but now lives in the States. You know, super entrepreneurial guy, like invested in a bunch of startups, had his own successes. But the book's written about his views on wealth, happiness, life in general,
Mm.
from tweets and from various kind of different sources. It's not him that's written the book, but it's so interesting. And one of the points that he talks about, all this, what you just mentioned, is all discussed at length, and the way it's put together and the way he thinks of things. For example, he was saying you need to set yourself an hourly rate, and that hourly rate's not necessarily what you're earning right now. It might be, someone might say, okay, like $100 or £100, right? And he'll be like, all right, but you need to like 10x that to say like 1,000, or whatever's kind of a bit out there. And then it's like, okay, back to delegation. If anything is costing you, like a cleaner is costing you $50 an hour, but you're worth $1,000 an hour, well, it makes sense to pay the cleaner, of course. But do you know what I'm saying? So it's not quite as black and white as what's my paycheck. It's also what's my time worth, and how do you value that? And then similarly, he talks about if you find something play and easy and like you'll study around the clock about it, you're kind of obsessed by something, versus someone else who it's really work for them and like they clock out, and like you're gonna speedboat past those people,
Oh yeah. Oh
for
yeah.
sure, for
Yeah,
sure.
I think the concept I remember now is called competitive advantage. That's
Right.
the first. Yeah, and then passion and drive. Again, back to Steve Jobs, he created like they said in his biography, which is not a very good book, by the way. He created a reality distortion field around him, and people were able to do things that were otherwise impossible. I try to do that myself, and I think, given what we've done so far, people are, especially the Swiss, are like, that's not normal. So, and
So
inspiration.
yeah, so talking about, so you come out of university and you do what most people do, which is you find like a job with the big four, and this was EY in your case. Was that just like it just felt like I've got a degree, it's safe, comfortable, like it's a big name on the CV? Was that the reason? Like, why did you go down that road?
Believe it or not, I actually started with Arthur Anderson or Anderson Consulting at the time.
Okay.
But I switched to EY pretty quickly because they gave me an offer I couldn't refuse. Um, why did I take that job? Consulting's a pretty good job for a young person who doesn't have a family or anything. That you're traveling all the time. You're uh, in and out of all kinds of different businesses. I was into like telecom. I was into logistics, Coca-Cola. Like all sorts of different companies, and you're getting exposure to you know different industries, different aspects of business that no training really could prepare you for. And then a lot about big corporate culture too, which is some of your inspirations are positive and some are sort of reverse. And my inspiration to start my first company was certainly based on a lot of the things that I had seen that I didn't think were right or good. Just trying to get the speedboat out.
And so what, like, yeah, again, it's not unheard of, but not a lot of people, and nothing wrong with that. Just for life, go down the consultancy road and do that. What was it you said? Like you saw something, or is it a certain business sector or a way of running businesses that you thought I could do this better? Was it that kind of like thought?
Yeah, there were two things. In a lot of the big clients, there were incredible amounts of just really, really low productivity stuff going on, which is why consulting exists, right? And in the consulting shops, of which I'd been in a couple, EY is the notable one. The reward system was sort of inverted. So the people who were like really good and could do amazing work ended up doing the work, and the other people who talked a good game would like, get promoted to manage them. And that didn't seem fair or right. So I started my own consulting company to compete with that. And that was my first company. I ran that for like 11 years or something before it got bought. And we certainly did what I intended. We didn't, my original philosophy was no managers. And, or eventually when you get enough people, you need managers, but they should also do work, because you're either in the position of promoting your best people who can do the best work out of the working, which
Yep.
is terrible,
Yeah.
or you promote the idiot who can't do the work and they manage the good person. So it's a catch 22 there. So anyway, I solved it as best I could.
And so what was the specific sectors that you were trying to go into when you started your own consulting shop, or like did you just have the sense that I can do this like leaner and better than what I'm seeing from the bigger companies?
Yeah, the sector never really mattered to me. I did various ones, but really I ended up getting sucked into pharmaceuticals. Um, Pfizer was my first big client, and they gave me some. I was like the new kid. I was in my 20s. I started a company, and they had a project that was circling the drain, like career ender for the manager. And they're like, all right, try this. So I did it. And the person was successful. Then I did another one. And then they were like, all right, who's this kid? He can do stuff. And then they gave me a really big, important one. And that kind of launched me, and, started bringing people on. And I invented a whole bunch of stuff then, and became sort of, there's this little world called randomization and trial supply technology, which is the mechanics of all clinical trials. And the world of people involved in that is in the thousands, maybe. And in that world, I'm famous.
Okay.
But and it's just kind of trivial sounding, but it really is like very few clinical trials could run without it. No significant ones could run without this technology. So they all use it. And my previous company is one of the big players in there now.
So was that after the consultancy thing that you did this
Yeah.
specific technology?
Yeah. So what happened was, in the consulting role, I realized that everything I built became the property of the client. So I made some pretty good money, but I walked away with nothing. And I started building my own products in the consulting company. On the strength of those products, the company got bought, and that was good because I didn't have the resources to really take it to the next level, and they pretty much did. Um, that was like 2009, 2011, maybe. And 2012, my wife got diagnosed with breast cancer. And I had retired, at age 42, like 3 months before that. And I'm like, what are we gonna do? I'm retired. It's gonna be great. And then she gets breast cancer, so triple negative, like disaster. And we have 4 kids, and so I ended up taking care of the kids for 2 years until she passed away. And then eventually it was time to do something again. And then we started 4G Clinical, which is the one I was referring to. And that was really a pure randomization and technology trial supply management play, RTSM. They're pretty well known. If 4gclinical.com, you see a bunch of stuff. And um, I would argue the number one RTSM company in the industry, but I'm sure other people would disagree because they've got their biases. We have like probably half of the top 10 pharmaceuticals we service.
And what for someone like me that's completely not familiar with this sector, like what does the technology enable the companies to do?
Um, in most trials, you've got a disease, right? And you come in and they're going to treat you, but you don't. In the very simplest example, they're either going to give you the real stuff or the placebo.
Hmm.
That's randomization. It's typically much more complicated than that. But in the simple case, we're rolling the dice A or B, or we've already rolled them and they're in a list, and so we're keeping that secret. No one knows. The doctor doesn't know. You don't know in most trials. And then we're delivering the medications to the site where you're coming on your schedule with your own parameters and so forth. And the medicine at this point is experimental. It's like very rare. Some of it's $60,000 a dose. So you can't, it's not like a store where you can put 1,000 units on the shelf and wait till they get depleted. You put 1 unit there, or maybe like you have to have a few extras because you don't know if someone's going to come in and need a dose before the supply lead time, runs out. So it's the logistics is the real black art of it. And there's expiry, there's importation delays, it's just really
Yeah.
nasty.
So you're
And then the
basically
trial
solving a
design,
huge pain point of
it's
delivering something at the right time for the right person within the
yeah, and
time.
then the doctor can choose to titrate you or change the dose, and you have to be ready for that because you can't warp the drug there. You have to have all the possibilities there in advance, just enough and not too much, because once it hits the site, it's pretty much garbage. If it doesn't get used, it gets thrown away. And a lot of time, like companies will calculate their waste, it's like 50%. And
Jeez.
like a large company that I know well was spending, I think, 900 million a year, or maybe it was 90. It was a lot though, on drug that never got eaten, just chucked. So it's a big problem. Yeah.
And this is this born out of, as I say, the unfortunate situation with your wife. You were already like involved with pharmaceuticals, and like then did you kind of see another side to it? I guess.
Yes, actually, that is exactly what it was. And she was in a clinical trial, and I think she got the goddamn placebo, but either that or the drug didn't work very well. It was a
Mm.
RAD3, I think it was called. And I was like, I had done the work before, but I'd never seen the other side of a clinical trial. I'd never seen the impact on, you know, human life directly. And so I said, I'm going to do it this time. And I had some technical ideas that I really, really wanted to get into, and they ended up working out, which was like pre-AI, natural language processing. You write the specification and the system built itself. So that was pretty cool. And then we finally, like, it's almost like, in a sense, harder than the watch game, because who's going to run their first trial with you? Like, you're this new company. This is like their pivotal trial. So it was a company called Sage Pharmaceuticals, and their CEO had promised Wall Street that they would have results within 1 year, which is unheard of. And we were the only people fast enough to do it. So we got their trial.
Nice.
And that was our first trial. I think that was 2017. We had our very first revenue year. And it was for postpartum depression. And we collected a lot of data there. And we're not usually a data collection system, but for some reason, they had us collecting backstories from the women who had it. And um, the FDA got angry at one of the sites for some reason. They did something bad. So I had to go pull data for the FDA in order to make sure that, I was the CTO and founder, so it was my responsibility. I had to make sure that the data was right before I sent it to them. And that meant I had to read it. And there were women who were like planning to kill their babies. Like, postpartum depression is no joke. Planning to kill themselves and their babies, like, had the plan to do it. And this was a 72-hour infusion. So you're sitting there on a pump for 72 hours.
Wow.
But afterwards, completely cured. And they were just flummoxed and shocked at where they had been and where they had got to. So literally, that trial, which is our first one, solved postpartum depression. It is now a treated disease that's totally treatable by this age, and they continue to improve their delivery mechanism, so it's not a 72-hour infusion anymore. But yeah, that was pretty thrilling. And since then, we've done like every disease, every indication, including the type of breast cancer my wife passed away from. So
Do you
yeah, it's
do you
been
get
meaningful.
a huge sense of like pride and amazing purpose and fulfillment from this? Because not only is it, great economically for you and you got people you employ, but you're actually, like you described there, like genuinely solving people who would otherwise maybe do something very drastic.
Yeah, and all sorts of other indications too, which just take people right out, right? So I would say day to day, I don't really feel the pride in it because you're just in the trenches working, and I've always considered myself one of the workers. And occasionally I'll have a big gathering. We have like 400, 500 people in the company or something, and they're like, "Oh, you're Ed," and I'm like, "Oh yeah, I started this." Like, it's wild, but it's rare that I take a moment to say, "Yeah, I did something great," and I'm always just focused on going forward,
So you
not
still
looking
is
backward.
4G still something you run?
I'm on the board, and I do what I can to help. I still have internal access to everything, and I talk to engineering a lot. I talk to some salespeople and some other people, some of the leadership in the company. So yeah, they always know my opinions.
That's it's
But
it's like
when I stepped away, my good friend Rob Campanella took over as CTO, and he's just done an amazing job. So I haven't left a gap there. So I feel good about that.
and what was the kind of catalyst for you to just to step away and focus elsewhere?
Because I'm an inventor, and we weren't inventing anymore, really. I had ideas to invent new things there, but it wasn't directionally appropriate for the company when we're really trying to consolidate a leadership position in the industry to start spreading ourselves wide into adjacencies or wild new ideas. I mean, um, so I needed to do something else, and I had like 30 different ideas I was going to do. I started with like four of them, and I fell completely head over heels in love with the watchmaking industry, and I kind of put the others on the shelf. I had a car design which went pretty far. We almost built a prototype, and we stopped at the last minute. But
And what was the reason for stopping at that point with the car?
well, I had to let my so I've got all my focus on the watch company now. So I had a partner in the car company, and I had to like let him run it. And he did a pretty significant market survey. And this is a big, wild American style muscle cruiser, but it was going to be for like $750,000. And we needed to know that there's a market for that. And he was unable to find a market for that. So that's pretty much why we stopped. I still think it could work, but I don't have the time to take it myself or the resources, frankly.
And so, as watches like always been throughout your life something you've been interested in? Have you collected them over time?
Yes. So I think, yeah, my first cool watch, I got a Rolex Air King. And I was like, I got it. Everybody, that's why Rolex sells $1 million a year,
Of
because a
course,
million units a year, because everyone gets their first, when they're
of
just
course.
successful, they get their Rolex. So I got that. And then, I got a Breitling, and that was pretty cool, and a couple others. And then I got the big one, the Patek 5140, when I was being really successful, right, in my first company. And that was in a Breguet. So I was like like a collector. I didn't really think much of it. I always loved wristwatch annual. I'll tell you that. That thing is crack on paper.
Yeah.
Um, uh, and then I had had my eyes on the Rolex Bluesy forever, and I finally bought it. And this was almost knocked me out of the watch game because I loved it so much that it's all I wore. I never wore my other watches for like years. And then, at the same time that I was sort of peeling off to do something different, I opened the gates back up and probably got like 10 or 12 watches that year, and started the company at the same time. And you know,
And what
it
was in
evolved.
those watches that you bought that year? Like what sort of watches were you buying?
Well, let's see. I got an AP, the offshore QE2 cup, tantalum and white gold, not tantalum and rose. Um, because I'm really into metals like tantalum, and I hadn't have a tantalum watch at that point, so I
Okay.
got that one. I got a Mr. Roboto Bronzo.
Okay.
That's azimuth. That's
Yep. Yeah.
wild. It's not terribly functional, but it's wild, and
It is wild.
it gets more attention than anything else that I have. Um, like a couple of minor watches, like a Young Hans World Timer, a Cuervo y Sorbinos. I noticed you smoke cigars from your LinkedIn picture.
Yes.
I needed a watch that I felt comfortable that went with cigars. And there are some, there's a Cohiba one from Zenith, I think. And then there's
Yes.
like Artia makes an actual tobacco leaf
Correct.
watch, which is great. But this particular Cuervo Usurpinos, which is a Cuban heritage brand, look, this yellow, dial, it's great. So that's my cigar watch. Um,
Amazing.
yeah. It's several others, a couple of Omegas. Uh, I love I love James Bond, and especially the Daniel Craig versions. And I wanted to have the same watch as he did. So I got the one that he wore in the first section of Casino Royale. And I almost got the one that he wore in the second half, but I got the newer version, which is the 300M Seamaster,
Yeah. Yeah.
and several others. Yeah.
I got you.
So obviously I love this stuff.
And you said there was all these different ideas that you had, and then you narrowed from 30 to four, and obviously one of those was the car that you mentioned, and which you couldn't quite necessarily see the product market fit, and the other
Yeah.
was the watch project, which is obviously what you've gone in to do. What is it about watches that was like out of all those ideas that was just like this is what I want to focus a lot of my attention on?
Well, just before that, one of them was metals, and
Okay.
metals rolled into the watches, so that kind of came with it. I don't know if you've seen what we've done with tantalum, but we've with our partners, AB Concept, we have done some stuff. Like we've done additive manufacturing with tantalum, and
I
we
was
got other.
reading roughly a little bit about it. I'll be honest with you, I'm not entirely sure what that means. But if you
It
could,
means 3D printing.
okay, all right,
Yeah. Yeah. I've got a. I've been showing this off a little bit. Here's a new type of metal.
okay,
It's a ring, and it's called rainbow gold.
okay,
You can see it, but it's rose on that side. Oh, it doesn't really show that good. It
okay.
goes
What
rose to yellow.
interesting.
Uh, we'll see. How about that one? A watch case that shifts colors would be pretty cool.
That
AP
would
did something like that at one point, but it was a whole different technique, whole different, like almost camo look.
yes, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah.
So again, metals. What's the thing with metals that's like interesting to you?
I feel like it's an untapped area. On the one hand, everyone's got their gold versions. You get your Sedna, your honey, like everyone's got their own gold, but no one's made a blue metal yet. Not that's workable anyway. So let's go, and tantalum is impossible to work with. No one wants to do it, and they do it anyway just to show off. Let's make it easy. Okay. These are challenges. I like a challenge.
So is your intention not just for is your brand almost the again Stollenwurm or Stollenwurm depending
Yeah.
pronunciation? Is that almost like the presentation of the progress that you're making in the metallurgy kind of side of things? Are you potentially going to use or have other people use some of the methods that you're using, or just you're going to keep them exclusively for your brand?
I'm pretty sure that the tantalum will be used very soon by some major brands. Um,
Okay.
uh, the gold is yet in development, so we'll see on that one. And the other metals are well early in development. I'm still doing like computational stuff on them, and you want to like, if at all possible, you want to figure this out with a supercomputer before you go to like start mixing the precious metals together and find out it's just gray again. So I think I skipped a question there because I was preambling, which you said, why did I fall in love with watches? And so I was kind of iterating and what am I going to do? Maybe I let someone to make a watch for me because nothing was just right. And I met Antoine Schumi, who's a major watch designer from Le Logue, or he works in Le Logue. And we had a Zoom and we got along well. And he said, well, if we're going to work together, you're going to have to come to Switzerland. So I came with my wife, who's I remarried after my first wife passed away, and my cousin, who's our artist. And we did a whirlwind, like 3 day tour of basically La Chaux de Fonds and Le Logue, um, which is where all our suppliers are. And in one after the other, they treated us like so welcoming and it was so fascinating and we learned so much and it was just exciting and we vibed really really well and we started doing designs and we designed for a good while but the designs were good and like I got something here and then I kept coming up with more ideas. I have probably 30 watch designs now and we'll have a new one hopefully ready for Geneva Watch Days, which is awesome. And as fast as I can, which is not going to be very fast, but faster than most people. We've got like a new type of minute repeater, which may or may not work, a new type of movement design, a new type of world timer, all kinds of stuff.
And is the it feels like from talking to you the fascination is innovation. What can we do differently? How can we do differently? Whether it's the color of the metal or the complication,
Yeah,
that's the real driver here. Just like experimenting, having fun with it, and see what
it's
comes
it.
out.
I think I had said Andrew Morgan asked me in Dubai, about this, and it's like it's the perfect outlet for creativity. Like it's pretty hard to do, but not impossible. It's not as hard as doing a car, and it's a place where new ideas can come because not a lot of people are doing new ideas. And you got MBNF, of course, and you got some other um, radical approaches, but most companies they're making a blue dial diver,
Yeah.
or whatever. And I've got the ideas and I can make them real and people like them. That is the best. That's not even work. It's so fun. Um, yeah.
So series one was like a more of an astronomy focus. Is this the one you're wearing?
Yeah. Yeah, it's an astrological day date. And the reason for that is I'll take this off. Quick release.
Nice.
I mentioned my Cuervo watch. The problem with it, I don't have it with me, right? It's in the other room, but you couldn't read it. Like the date, I mean, I'm getting old now, So the day and the date, like it's a three-letter abbreviation for the day,
Yep.
and oh God, I can't read so damn small. So I thought with astrological symbol, um, we could represent the days in a universal language, which only takes up one unit, so it's pretty clearly legible.
Hmm.
So there's Sunday, it's the sun. We
Okay.
didn't invent this. This comes from the planets and the gods. It goes gods, planets, days. So it's easier for me in French. But although moon, Monday,
Okay.
and then Tuesday in French is mardi,
Yep.
which is Mars. And
Okay.
in English, Tuesday comes from the Norse god Q. So that's the symbol. It's kind of the male symbol, but we stylized it just to make it more interesting. We didn't want just the old male symbol in there. Wednesday, vendredi is Venus or Woden in
Okay.
the English side. And yeah, Thursday is Thor or jeudi, Jupiter,
Yep.
and so on. And
Nice.
Saturday is Saturday. Friday is vendredi. I made a mistake. That's Venus. Mercredi, Mercury is Wednesday.
Yeah.
So, yep. And the other thing, and then the day is underneath there. It's kind of coming through. And then you can maybe see the number two is bright on this one. That's because this is the number two watch.
Got it.
We'll make we'll make 12. That's the
Makes
next thing.
sense. Movement's lovely. And that's
Thank you.
Telos, right? That you work with them
That
in
was in
design.
TMH. TMH makes the bridges, and we did the design. So the bridges are like very hard to make, especially the Series 2 bridges. Those are, I have those. This is the Lovers. One of my favorite.
That's
I
really
can't
cool.
see it, but those bridges are hard.
Wow, that's so
Yeah.
interesting.
I mean, he's throwing away a lot of mistakes on this, which is brutal. And those dials too. That's a quadruple technique, grand feu enamel, um, paillonné, cloisonné, champlevé, and micropainting.
Incredible.
Yeah. Thank
Incredible
you.
watch. So that's the
Thank you.
second
Thank you.
series was tarot cards, right?
That's right. So we have a deck being painted by our artist Hannah. She's from Barcelona or lives in Barcelona, not from there. And yeah, she's my cousin. So we started. I always wanted to use the Fergus Hall tarot deck to make watches in the Vacheron Metier style. Fergus Hall's a Scottish artist. He did the tarot deck that was used in the James Bond movie Live and Let Die, which is a really cool art. I experienced it when I was really young, and it kind of was my first art that I really liked.
Sure.
And so I've become friends with Fergus, and I've got four of his paintings in the house. But he doesn't own the cards. The James Bond franchise does. And here we are back around to James Bond, right? But they won't even like take my calls, so I can't get that. So I said, Hannah, you want to paint me a tarot deck? So we've been collaborating on it. We have all the paintings done except for the last one, which is the world, and that one's going to be wild because we're using the old style, like cause like Mundia map or something like that before they knew about the new world. How there was a map with this like everything was
Right.
condensed and like sea monsters out there and stuff. And anyway, the world's gonna be cool.
How many cards from the tarot deck?
There's 78, but 22 are majors, and the other are like the king, queen. It's not the jack exactly, but and then the number cards. So of the majors, we'll make um, we'll make five watches for each major, and then the minors will only make on demand one watch. So those will be unique. Oh, oh my goodness! Sorry, dogs are excitable. Puppies, quit. Anyway, that's got
That's
a
cool.
unique raised white gold wheel on there.
That's awesome.
Um, Thank you.
Really cool. And
Yeah.
for people that don't know, like what like retail price, where do these sit?
So we've taken it off the website because it's a little low and it has to go up. But right now these are 100,000 Swiss francs. Um, so the Series 2 comes with the strap. Series 1 comes with the metal bracelet, which is tantalum and platinum as well. Um, I don't think you've ever seen a tantalum and platinum bracelet before,
Not so
because
much.
the machine is a little easier to build with. This dial is really expensive. So the bracelet is 20,000 Swiss francs if you want to add the bracelet to this. But if you get this, you get the strap for free. So I don't think they'll be this inexpensive again. It's just it cost me half that to make it. The rule of thumb is like you're going 5x, right? For retail, we're 2x. But it's survival wages right now.
And how what was the time frame from you originally deciding let's go down the rabbit hole, speaking with the fellow in Lochler, having a
Yeah.
look at that to an actual physical watch being available for sale or for at least for showing?
Yeah, this kind of goes like this. So what's this year? It's 26 June of 24. I met Antoine uh, on a Zoom like this. And September of 24, we flew to Switzerland. End of October, we incorporated the Swiss SA, which is not that easy to do as an American, I got to tell you, but we did it.
Is
It
that for
took,
taxes and just for making it easier buying the components and all these things?
well, everything we're doing is in Switzerland.
Yeah,
Yeah, it doesn't make sense to have an American company, and I wanted it to be really Swiss. The Stollenwurm is a Swiss legendary creature. Like everything we do is Swiss except for me and our
right.
artist in Barcelona. So it is a truly Swiss company. January we started building. We had been designing through the fall there into the winter. January we started building, and September of last year, Geneva Watch Days, we launched. Now these were prototypes. We had like 7 prototype watches. So, Series 1, we had the Fool and the High Priestess, and Series 2, and we had the Series 1 prototypes as well. Um, so that was September. Let's see, we came up with some more dials, and we had our first production watches at Watches and Wonders, or we were at the Beau Rivage instead of at the main event. But that was when our first production watches were available. They're always available like a day before the conference starts. And yeah, our current inventory is not available, but we're hoping by Geneva Watch Days we'll have 3 new watches of the new design, which is a reversed movement tourbillon, um, and hopefully some more of these that we can sell.
So it was at least 2 years from kind of inception design to the actual watch being available for sale.
I think a little less.
Okay.
Yeah, like 18 months. But
And
yeah, from beginning to build to prototypes was 9 months, and those prototypes were pretty good. You
yeah,
know,
and so for people that don't know, the independent business obviously is very much like having its halcyon days right now, as it were. Um, like, what sort of people are buying these? Are these people that have already got like huge collections and they're bored of the same old Patek and Amiga and Rolex that everyone has, and they want some individuality? Like, who are you seeing that's buying these and interested in these sort of watches?
certainly big collectors, and these people are not necessarily just tired of Rolex, but they've already got like a George Daniels,
Sure.
or whatever. Some people are shadowy, you don't know who they are. Other people are regular collectors who are going to make a little reach, but they're already getting whatever they want, sort of. Maybe as you described there, get athletes looking at it. It's you get people who want something that nobody else has, and you get people who just get it and have the resources. So I'd say a good portion of people don't get this. Like I go to retailers sometimes. We're not going to ever be in retailers, but just to talk to them, and some of them don't get it. They're like, yeah, I don't see it, and that's okay because a lot of people do, and that's great.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
it's people. A lot of people in retail anyway. They don't understand the costs behind a cloisonné dial or a new movement, or you don't just go and like order one movement. Like you have to have a whole like run. I know this myself from looking at these things. and like small thing I didn't even realize or think about. Like the reason that, for example, Langer is one of the only companies that does a grand date in the way it does is because so actually the power required to move larger date windows is quite significant, and to produce the power at the right time. Just something you don't even think about. Like when you start looking into these things, and obviously, but you can get really complex and. But I
Right.
think you at the moment anyway for the independent scene, like years ago, there wasn't really an easy way for someone like a company like yourselves to be on the global stage. But of course now you've got social media, you've got the world's just more accepting of. I think it's everything's cyclical, right? So like it's gone down the lack of individuality in the last at least decade, where again everyone's like kind of uniform or like the same watch and the same suit and the same tie color and this is this. Um, there's always outliers, but I think more and more now people are starting to go like I want something that no one else has got, whether it's what in all different factors. There's always going to be the masses that want the same thing, which is just the way it is because
Yeah.
of marketing and whatnot. But yeah, I think did you bring the watch brand to life thinking I want this to be a commercial success? Obviously, you did. You're in business. You're an entrepreneur. Or did you do it more because you wanted to see where it would go, and if we make money in the process, that would be nice. Like, was either of
A
those the
little
reason?
more a little more the latter. I mean, I guess if you ask me now, I would say I want to be successful enough to do this for the rest of my life, even though I may yet do some more side projects because I just have too many ideas. But yeah, it wasn't really. I mean, who starts a six-figure watch brand out of nowhere thinking that they're going to make money? Like that's insane. So we're still, swimming upstream a little bit, but it's one of those like with a social media company, they have to pass a certain threshold and then they're it and everyone's there, right?
Right.
So if our threshold is quite small because we'll make 20, 30 watches a year. So that's easy to sell out of. And but if we get to the point where we have like the multi-year waiting list and we choose who our customers are, which is, what we're going for, then we're good. And then I can do all those other ideas and they're going to be wild. Not just like cool dials. I'm talking like movement stuff.
And is that's just coming from your like technology background and all the entrepreneurial creativity rather.
I don't know. I don't know where it comes from. You know, I, I don't sleep well. It just comes, and I can't force it out. But it'll just out of nowhere. It'll be, I got a design for a new. The amount of times I've told Antoine, I've got a new idea, and he's like, oh, again, like once a week. No, maybe not that often, but often.
And so you've had so far like a really good reception to the watches, the designs, the sort of ideas that you're putting across.
A lot of people, yeah, a lot of people absolutely love it, and there are people who don't get it, and you can tell. Like, and there are like serious collectors, and they're like they don't get it, and but they're kind of like trend followers, and they're like you're missing the boat here. If you're, once it's the trend, it's going to be too late.
Right.
But a lot of people want to do what's popular, and
Well,
we're
there's an
barely
article
doing
I
it.
read about talking about the WhatsApp groups of a lot of these kind of more high profile or wealthy collectors, and they'll share like a watch that they've seen, and they all queue over the same thing, and then they all want the FP Jour because you know what I mean. Like
Yeah.
it's as you say, like once everyone wants it, like you're already too late to the party if you're trying to you know do if that's important to you.
Well, it
But
is possible still to get a Journe. It's not possible to get a Regepi. It's not
yeah,
possible to get a Tom Brett.
yep.
And I love those guys. Like I love Brett's latest. I'm not sure about Rejep's latest, but whatever.
Yeah, particularly the bracelet you're talking about as well that he brought out,
I just did it.
or the iridescent dial. Like
I've never been. Oh yeah, yeah. The iridescent dial is the one I'm talking about. Yeah, the bracelet came after that, and the bracelet's
correct.
cool too.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. No, I was thinking Rechepi for a minute. That I'm just not that into chronos, even though I do have a double chrono design. Um, but it has a purpose.
So, what's for you? Have you got like other like endeavors that you're working on? Like, does your brain just as like polymath other things that are taking your fancy? Are you trying to be like, you're obviously still working within the pharmaceutical space, and obviously watches as well. But if you got other kind of things that are
Yeah, I do have a lot of them. I've got a, I'm really interested in artificial life
okay,
at two different levels. I call it, I have one called small life and the other's called big life. And small life is basically pseudo atoms colliding and forming molecules in a pseudo space. And I've been doing a lot with that lately. And you get some really cool structures like prebiotic structures coming out of that. I'm running into some performance issues eventually, but I could probably show you that right now if you wanted to see it. It's wild. And the big life is basically having AIs communicate with each other, and I really want them to gain a sense of self and self-preservation instinct. Now they're telling me that's not possible because the core programming overrides everything, but I don't believe it. So we'll see. That's
so
one area.
explain what small life is. Sorry, like that's just like a
Um, I can show it to you.
okay. This is
You
new,
mind? Let me pull it up. Give me a moment.
of
Someone
course.
can this work. Boom. How do I share? I might have to get permission. Oh, share
You might
desktop.
well do.
There we go.
Okay,
There's small life here. So this is I just kicked this off, so we'll speed it up a little bit. These are
okay.
these are molecules, and they're forming, well, they're atoms forming molecules. We're only like 4,000 ticks in, but you end up getting some pretty cool complexity. You can zoom in on it. This may have bugs in it, this one here, but um, just to make it more human readable, I've got a little dispatch thing that comes up. No, no, yeah, there it is, and it tells you sort of what's been going on. This is early days.
Okay.
Um, yeah. So yeah, you can see it's pretty wild. What I'm hoping to do is create something, I wouldn't say intelligent, but reproduce like that reproduces itself, and like basically a little form of life. And you get these like stable structures out here. I'm gonna push this over here. Yeah, the zooming's not working right now.
So you're trying to like
Sorry.
kind of simulate how life formed at the very offset.
I, right, without engineering it. I want it to do it spontaneously. So I'm not creating any rules except for the basics like atoms and bonding rules. Um, so I'm not putting my thumb on the scale here. I'm letting it do its own thing, and it's being watched and for different patterns that we're looking for. And it's been a lot of fun. I'm
It's
kind of
just
running
like
into the boundaries of performance right now.
so what are you using to like what's behind this like that's allowing this.
This is this is the AI called Claude, and all this, believe
Okay.
it or not, is done in JavaScript. I'm more of a Python programmer myself, and we're going to have to move this to Python for performance reasons eventually, but I want to get it just right first. Um, anyway,
So
that's that.
what do you want to gain out of that like that?
That's purely for, well, I think anyone who pushes forward the boundaries of artificial or evolved life, yeah, I'm not going to get any money from it, but I would make a contribution to the world with that, you know. And there are communities, I have not joined them yet, who are into this sort of thing, and I'm like right on the cusp of joining them and showing them like, look, that's what I did. So
And how long have you like how many much time are you put into getting that model to that point?
I probably started that about 2 weeks ago.
Okay, so it's a new thing.
Yeah, and it's incredible that I could never have programmed that myself in 2 weeks. Never, never, never. It would have been 2 years. So
Wow,
this AI code is really something now. Um,
that's wild.
yeah,
That is wild. Yeah, I would have thought you said a lot longer than that. For what, like, I know that I really understand what I'm looking at, but like,
it's a lot. There's a lot in there. I've one more project that I'm really interested in that could change the world. My most important project, but I've got to take it step by step because it's so big. It's a open currency. It's basically an anti-corruption play where it's a public ledger, and everyone in the world can see every transaction. And the don't this is mostly for like philanthropy and foreign aid, because most of it just gets stolen, right?
yeah,
You ship it in, it gets Mozambique buys a warship, you know, for their tuna fleet or whatever, and then they fund the interest on the debt, and it's a disaster. So I think corruption is the thing that keeps the third world generally,
Yeah.
and major problem elsewhere, like the Eastern Europe, major problem. Um, and those who are dependent on aid, if you got the aid and you got the control, and you can stop any transaction if you're not happy with it, and everyone else in the world can examine every transaction on a public ledger, that's going to make it a lot harder to steal. They'll still steal something, but it'll be a lot harder. And I think we could really change the world with that.
Is that cryptography related or something different?
Is it what related?
Like cryptography, like cryptography, or something different?
I mean, it'll have to have a crypto element just to be secure, but it's the opposite of blockchain, because blockchain is private, maybe not by design, but it's no one knows who bought or sold anything on blockchain. It's just completely, and that's why you get people getting kidnapped and getting their wallet stolen and so forth. This is the exact opposite. And blockchain is a really heavy, clunky technology anyway. So this would be like a ledger, like a clean. In fact, there's already something out there. I think the Gates Foundation created that could support the currency, which would be good. I need to do more research on it.
And something like that, just again, do you know where those ideas come from, or like just something pops into your head, or are you reading something in the newspaper and then it kind of things start to kind of bubble around?
I was at a presentation years ago. It was like a gathering of companies that our investor Schooner Capital had invested in, and there was one of the presentations. The guy talked about this Mozambique warship and how and various types of corruption. And in Russia, they have this way of they uh, immediately like steal $400 million from the government and like then declare bankruptcy, and boom, it's gone and it's wired out of the country. And it was about techniques to fight corruption. And that kind of stuck in my head for a while. And I thought, not I don't care so much about the Russian example, though it's bad. Um, but there like most of Africa, it's stuck in hell forever. It's never getting out. It's never moving forward. No one's been able to move the needle. Um, we could we could do a good thing. So somewhere in there, I was thinking like, boy, if we could solve that, it would be really something. If we could solve corruption, or not completely, but a lot. You could reduce theft. First of all, you can't do the immediate all-in theft ever because it would just get blocked. And even large theft, you'd have to like pay off a lot of little people to take a little bit at a time. So anyway, working on the design for that.
Okay,
Yeah.
watch this space, eh? And you just don't. I said watch this space. You seem to
Yeah,
have.
yeah, I guess it's that one. I'm going to take my time with it, and nothing is going to interrupt the watch work. Like that's always takes president, precedence.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, but we'll see. We'll see. There's
Is
more
it
stuff coming.
is is the watch thing something that one day you might move on from, or you feel I said before, you feel like this is an endeavor that has the creative pursuit, has the technical challenges that you feel that as long as of course you can sell them and economically be viable, that you will
Yeah,
always kind of
I
have
mean,
involvement.
I can't imagine falling out of love with it. I think I'm in it for life, and I probably have enough ideas now to last me for 20 years, right? And they're not like stopping coming. So it's the funnest thing I've ever done, and I'm loving it, and I can't imagine that changing.
It's interesting you say it's the funnest thing. Like, is it because you just have a fascination with horology, or it's just like because of it's the apex or the meeting of various different technical creative challenges? Like it has and a mixture of many things. I mean, Sylvain Berneron, who of Berneron watches, he
Yeah,
was
of course.
saying that like he used to be involved with BMW like as a designer. And he said, like, the thing with watches is, like, there's no regulation that you've got to work towards. There's no, like, all these different kind of constraints. And obviously, you come from pharmaceuticals where there's a million
Oh,
constraints. And
brutal,
all of a sudden,
brutal.
you've got, like, this sandbox to play in. I guess it's kind of very refreshing.
I wouldn't say there's no regulation though. The Swiss do have regs. It just pales by comparison to
Right.
pharma. I mean, pharma is punishing. It is brutal to work in that environment. It is just a slog, and I wish it wasn't because we lose. great amounts of productivity because of that, because of US regs and probably European regs too. Anyway, yeah, we in Switzerland, we have to. There are a lot of rules. Like we actually couldn't even put Swiss made on the dial here because it's a métier. But in order to say this is platinum and tantalum, we have to stamp it with the PT and the TA, and we have a stamp that the Swiss government issues us, which is a Stollenwurm's head. Um, and this is little stuff like that, but it's relatively straightforward. So it's
What
not a
was the reason for not being able to put Swiss made in the dial?
oh, because it's a métier dial. It's a It's just an enamel dial. I mean, we could write Swiss made on there in micro painting, but I don't think anybody does that with an enamel dial.
I understand. So it's that was more of a that's not a regulatory thing. It's more of a technical. Didn't yeah? You just don't put that on
Yeah,
like
it's
a
just
dial.
says like don't mess up the painting by writing
Yeah,
Swiss made on the front of it.
that makes sense.
It's
That
not
makes
really that.
sense. Okay, I mean, I'm really interesting to because I think a lot of the time you see these new brands coming along online, and you see like interesting things, but it's always good for me to understand like the founder, like where they're coming from, why they created the watch. Because there's a lot out there that is just, in my opinion, just trying to take advantage of the independent scene is flourishing as of now, and just trying to profiteer from that, which is fine. I mean, that's business, right? You see opportunity, but it's pretty clear to me that that's not your modus operandi. Like you've made your money and are making money in other areas. Like this is a creative endeavor, and I feel like that's where the best work comes from. Like you were saying
Yeah.
before, I think, of course, you're very successful, seemingly in pharmaceuticals and what you did, but this feels different, right? Because you have more of you, I guess, in the product than maybe previously, where you've got to lean on. You're making something for the people. You still are, but a lot of watchmaking is you trying to go like, hey, I wonder if this works, and
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely a heavy fingerprint, and I would say with the art, my cousin Hannah, of course, she and I collaborate on the designs, and with the technical designs, it's Antoine and myself. But it's wonderful, and I'm as competitive as ever. I want to win, and I want to be like up there with Brett and Recepi. But you know, um, even if I don't get there, I want to still do this forever. So it's been amazing.
so for you is winning having that multi-year waiting list and notoriety of like this is the next like big thing in the independent space. Is that what that looks like?
I think so. And I don't personally covet notoriety or fame of any type, but I don't think there's a way around it. I think that it's going to be my name and my face with the brand. And if there was you know, I'd be happy if it was just the creature, just the stolen worm.
What
But
made you choose that name out of curiosity and that identity?
I, so everything was Swiss oriented, and I was really scanning around for like what's a very Swiss thing that's not already taken, and this is like the Swiss Loch Ness monster,
Right.
and yet a lot of Swiss don't really know about it. So when they hear about it, they're like, yeah, that's pretty cool. That's our creature, and it wasn't taken really. I mean, it's the name's been used in a few little contexts, but we did global searches, so we trademarked it globally, and it's a cool creature. I mean, it's like a serpent with the head of a cat. It breathes fire. Like that's cool, man. And it fits with the dark. It fits with the dark, mysterious themes like the tarot, the astrology, and like we'll continue the dark themes with the creature. No,
That's cool.
yeah.
Well, I mean, you're going to be at Geneva Watch Days, right? Is it September this
Yep.
year still?
And yes, and we are going to be sponsoring the band for the finale night, Saturday night VIP party, which is a Swiss band that we've got to deal with too. Again, trying to be very Swiss here. So they're called Montemai. They're amazing. We use their music in all our early Instagram reels, and yeah, we're really excited
Amazing.
for
Well,
Geneva.
I look forward to. I probably will be there. I look forward to seeing the
Okay.
watches in person. And as I say, Martin, like when he told me that like he was not going to put anyone on in the front of that book that he doesn't believe in, and told me about what you guys were doing. So I was like, hey, I have to jump on
Yeah.
and see what it's all about.
He's a wonderful man, and he's a walking encyclopedia too. By the way,
Outrageous. Like just
he's
the
awesome.
knowledge, the history, the dates. I remember
Yeah,
just one anecdote when I was over in Austria a couple of years ago, and
yeah,
like it's particularly in Vienna, it's like incredibly. The amount, the architecture there is just crazy, right? If you just, which I wasn't expecting it to be. So I was like, hey, I said, like, I sent him a voice note. I was with a friend. I said, like, what's the reason for like this? Within like a minute or two, there was a 5 minute voice note explaining to me why and this and the dates and this person, that person. I'm like, it's like having a Gemini or ChatGPT on tap. It's incredible.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah,
Incredible.
it's amazing. Amazing.
Well, I wish you a good rest of your day, and yeah, thank you for taking the time. And look forward to looking at the watches and seeing where things go because it sounds like we're just at the start of this, right?
Absolutely. Well, thank you for your time and interest, and we'll see you in Geneva.
Sounds great. Thank you.
Bye bye.
Cheers.